let's talk to Marcia. Marcia, she, her from Colorado.
All right. So Marcia, she, her, wants to point out that perfection is a human construct. Marcia, you're on with Jimmy and Sydney.
Hi, guys. It's the two juniors.
That's right.
Yes.
This is super petty, but I've never heard this argument before about the golden ratio being proof of intelligent design. But it's the worst possible proof, as the golden ratio was invented by people. And you do not find it universally in nature. It's 100% a human construct. And the idea that it's perfect is also just completely subjective. Like it was perfection to the Greeks, and that held a lot of sway in the Renaissance with the artists in the Renaissance. And we circle back around to it, but it's like 100% human.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that would show that God is somehow intelligently designed something.
Well, I think that makes you a hater. That's what that sounds like to me.
Okay.
Well, and Marcia, that's why it's like worth talking about, because I don't think that there's a really good explanation for the golden what was he calling it for phi, the golden formula or whatever it was. I've heard it before. I've heard it in other books that were works of fiction. I've heard it, being applied to art and certain things like that. But I think it just maybe at best is kind of a neat coincidence. I don't know that it really points to anything supernatural. And who knows how many other patterns there are in life that we haven't identified yet, or maybe even that already exist that just aren't being cited as some kind of unique thing. In any case, they don't give us evidence of a religion. And if they did, right, why aren't these deities or this God coming down and saying, aha, you unlocked me. You unlocked the code, right? You found the code and here I am. But that's not happening either. It's just more jargon. It's all of this kind of what if line of thinking, and it's being disguised as evidence by people who don't have evidence.
And something else I think that's really interesting is how when things go correctly, the way they're supposed to go, people go, oh, that's evidence of intelligent design. That's evidence of God. But when you show people real, common versions of things not going well, that's never God. That's never from God. That's never, or if it is, if you somehow get them to admit it's from God, it's because there's a reason. It's because God has a reason and a plan for that to have gone wrong, but he did that on purpose. And so I just can't quite figure it out. If everything going perfectly is supposed to be a sign of God's presence, then we should all agree God is not present, because we can all see with our eyeballs that things don't go correctly on a daily basis. And so why is it that perfection that does not exist, that I have yet to see, absolute perfection, I've never seen it in my entire life, why does that get to be a sign of God's existence, but us being able to prove day to day that things go the way they're not supposed to go, irregularly, imperfectly, why, one, it's never attributed to God, and two, that isn't allowed to poke a hole in that theory that perfection is God's presence and God's doing. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, I agree. This is my art history nerd seeping out, but like the idea of perfection too, with regards to the golden ratio, like, is highly subject to cultural situations. Like, that's really a Western ideal. It's not universal. You won't find that in other cultures. And yeah, you're right. Like, things in nature don't go perfectly all the time. You can find that ratio in nature sometimes, but not.
Yeah, and I made a point, and I want to shout out Jamie the Blind Limey, who is a wonderful, wonderful host. He will be on twice in June. We are lucky for that. But Jamie has made the point before, like I've heard him say, like I'm blind, like that. How is that an example of perfection? So I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to anybody that has any kind of disabilities or anything like that when I pointed that out. I just find that very compelling to argue against this idea of intelligent design. So shout out to Jamie. He's usually with us on the after show. So if anybody wants to tune into the after show and chat with him, I advise you to do so. He's great. So thanks for that talking point. And Marcia, thank you for calling. You have called us before, have you not? You and I have spoken before.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because I get triggered by other callers.
You and me both.
I think you were on.
You and me both.
I think.
Well, I'm glad that you called back. I really appreciate the repeat caller and the fandom. Stay tuned to what we got going on, Marcia. I'm going to let you go, but I hope to talk to you again soon.